You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Ryuk.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 202. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us at the website fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, basically everywhere you can get a podcast. So stop by and relax while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Matt, it is 202. We are here once again. How are you this evening?
I'm good this evening. Life is good. It wasn't a great day. I'll be straight up. I was not having a really great day. One of those days where you're just like, meh, meh. Nothing's really great.
So
Nothing's
you
bad.
were a Muppet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me.
No, I wasn't Beaker. Gosh, come on. Who would choose to be Beaker? Beaker just gets punked all the time. No, man. No, just having kind of a gonzo day. Some up, some down, some all around.
Okay.
You know. Anyway, but I'm feeling good now. The point is, everything's good.
Nice.
Yeah, man. How are you doing? Are you excited to be here?
Dude, I'm always excited to be here.
I
This
know
is
it.
one of the highlights of my week. I look forward to it every week. Also partially because, the prep work that goes into it and all the things like I look forward to it because this is the actual like culmination of all that prep work, and then we just kind of like roll the dice and let things happen. And I mean, 202 straight weeks, Matt, and we haven't broke the thing yet.
No, man. 202. It's a lot of weeks.
202, that's like an area code somewhere. I don't know.
Probably.
It
I'm
is.
sure it
I
is.
don't
Why
know
wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Anyway.
212's New York City. That's probably what I was thinking of. I don't know. Whatever. Shout out New York City. What's up? I don't know if anyone there listens, but regardless,
Yeah, they listen in
of
every
course.
city. What are you
Well,
talking
that
about?
is true. We do have some of the highfalutin friends up on the Upper East, West Side,
The upper side.
the upper side.
Yeah, man.
Moving on up
The boroughs.
to the upper
Uh-oh.
side. Okay, I don't know. Matt,
I don't
like
know anything about it.
we are literally like 2 minutes into the podcast, and I'm already ready to like take it off the rails and go crazy.
Yeah, I feel that. So I'm going to tell you about my week.
Tell me about your week. What's happening? What's happening, Matt?
I know you didn't catch this, but the podcast intro I did a little bit different because little Matty Ice over here watched some Death Note. Finally.
Oh,
Finally.
so you gave in, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, gave in. I don't know if I gave in. I just finally found where it was. They told me last week, and I said, if you tell me where it is, I'll try it. And so I tried it that night. I got done with the podcast and I pulled on my iPad and I pulled Netflix and I started watching it. And I was like, oh, dang. This
Can I
kinda
tell
good.
you how happy I am that you watched that? Because you're not on social media like I am. And so I'm the one that gets trolled for you not watching Death Note after saying like I don't know how many weeks ago that you were. So like I'm extremely excited that you've watched Death Note because A, I don't have to. B, I get to stop hearing about it.
Man.
I'm at least I'm hoping, super friends. Come on, cut me a break.
I'm not going to let you
here we
stop hearing about it because it was so good. By the way, I finished it. 37 episodes.
Ooh.
I finished it like 2 days ago or something. I don't remember when it was, but I freaking cruised through that show. It was so good.
Wow.
Thank you, super friends. Gracias for all of your shout outs for the show Death Note because it was like really great. I was very surprised. I'm used to anime being like Dragon Ball Z, magical, like fists of power and like green people and like a bunch of stuff that
Green
maybe I'm
people.
not super excited about, but this
Okay.
one was like not at all like that. I mean, this was cool. Like this
Nice.
was legit. So I watched that from cover to cover, so to speak. It's just one season. And I don't know if I'm ready to jump back into an anime because from what I see from Super Friends, like that's like kind of the
The pinnacle.
top,
Mm.
one of the top. I won't say it's the top. Um, my brother mentioned like Cowboy Bebop, and there's some other shows that I might get into eventually, but I might take
Telling
an
you,
anime break.
Thundercats. Thundercats.
That's not it's not anime.
I'm gonna say it qualifies. I'm still gonna say it. I know all the anime people are gonna say it doesn't,
Boo.
but I'm gonna say it qualifies. And if you watch
Okay.
that, it make me happy because I'm
Oh
watching it with my
gosh.
boys.
Oh dear. Well, I I I do care to make you happy, but I don't think that that would actually make you happy. So,
I mean,
oh,
maybe.
maybe it will.
I mean, maybe
Well, why don't you
a
watch
little,
any
a
of the
little bit.
10 shows that I recommend? You have watched a couple that I've recommended. I won't say
Thank,
that. But I'm
thank
waiting for
you.
Age of Resistance and Lock and Key, like two of my top shows. I can't wait till the end of this year so we can do like our favorites of the year because I
Oh
got a
yeah.
lot of things to say, y'all. It's good. It was a good year for stuff, but a bad year for everything else. Anyway,
Just let me get a preview. Is Tiger King still gonna break your top 10? You think for the year?
probably for shows.
For
Absolutely.
shows.
Why the heck not?
Oh,
Um,
so bad yet so
so
good.
yes, yes. So Death Note was great. That was probably my highlight. I really, really enjoyed it. In the middle, I will say it got a little slow after something happened with kind of his nemesis and then like his almost his alter ego.
Hmm.
And then it got kind of and then it picked back up again toward the end. So anyway, then we watched I'm sure the rest of you may or may not have watched it, heard about it. We watched the debate, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then, went to
Can
bed,
I just say,
uneasy.
because I'm not going to get political here, even though I will talk politics a lot, but can I just say that from a comedy perspective and the fact that I do a Trump impersonation, from like that perspective, I watched the debates because I knew it was going to be just a whole madness, mishmash of just horribleness. Like I knew it wasn't going to be
Right.
high political theater, but I gotta say, from a comedy perspective, man, that thing was gold. That thing was
Oh
just
gosh.
gold. I was writing down notes. I'm like, ooh, that's a good turn of a phrase I could use. Ooh, I want to say that next. I was taking it from that perspective. It's like, how can I use this
Yeah,
to continue to say ridiculous,
sure.
over the top things in my Trump impersonation? So,
I guess that's better than
for me, it was great.
anyway, it was a freaking mess. Moving on.
Yeah.
Um, we did, let's see, what else did we do this weekend? We put out our outdoor Halloween decorations.
Okay.
And Emmy's at the age where she just wants to help you do everything.
Yeah.
She wants help. Can I help? Can I help? Can I help? Can I help? And it was exhausting, but of course I try to let her help.
Sure.
And
That's what you
it
do.
just takes 8 times as long.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Yep.
It really is okay. I watched a lot of football, played a lot of Animal Crossing, got back into the deep hole that is Animal Crossing New Horizons with the new
Mm-hmm.
update. And so Jesse and I played that a lot. And it's been a lot of fun though. It's been a lot of fun to get back into that world and lose my evenings completely. Uh and then this weekend we had in our church general conference, which there's like a bunch of sessions you watch on TV, and that took up a chunk of our weekend. But in between doing that, we had Lando's birthday on
Hey,
Sunday. So our little Lando, who is wow,
he's won.
I've been on the podcast longer than he's been around for sure.
It's true.
Crazy. Anyway,
I
that just
looked
that just kind
and
of
I
hit me.
think I looked and you're not quite a year and a half, but you're not too far off either.
That seems about right. It was summer,
Yeah, it was like
like
I think I counted when I was 200 and kind of
midsummer,
looking.
summer.
I think you've been on now like 63, 64 episodes, something like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, Lando's birthday was good. He's one.
Yep.
We didn't go all out and I'm not criticizing parents who go all out. I say more power to you, but it was me and
Yeah.
Jesse, Emmy and Lando. Jesse made really cute like monster cupcakes. We had ice cream, no like banners and balloons and stuff saying
Right.
happy birthday to him. We let him go ham at the cupcake. He loved
Yeah.
it.
How did that go?
You just like you expect, like your kids probably. You take their clothes off and you
Yep.
just they mish
Yes.
mash it
Yes.
all over the floor, all
Did
over the
he
chair, all over their face.
did he go in like tentatively where he like touched it to see what it was and then he realized like,
Yeah,
"Oh, hey, sugar," and then just right in his
yeah.
face? Oh, I love
He
that.
he was definitely kind of like, I don't they're encouraging me, and usually I'm not encouraged to make a mess like this.
Right.
So I feel wrong a little bit. And then he just went to town and it was cute. It was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so that was our week. It was nice and relaxing and just not a ton going on
Now,
because we played too much Animal Crossing.
tell me if I'm wrong. Brita said she sent a gift.
She did.
Did that arrive?
That arrived.
So what did I get my nephew?
It's actually really cute. It's called like 100 words for geeks.
Okay.
It's in the vein of the Fortress. It's like
Mm.
a a cute like board book, and there's
Okay.
like pictures with words like light speed or rebel, and it has like a picture of like a rebel looking thing. So it's like they're trying to make you think of
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
movie or the show without getting copyright problems.
Gotcha.
It's super cute,
Gotcha.
and we'll have a lot of fun reading. But it's got cool pop culture references. It's got like Ghostbusters stuff, and you kind of try and figure out what this word is from. Jesse got all the Doctor Who stuff in there. There's Star Trek and Star Wars, and like some Disney movies like Zelda and Mario. Like just really fun, cute book. So thank you for that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Brita said she said something. I'm like, I'll ask Matt about it later.
Yeah, it was cute. It's super cute. We love
Nice.
it.
Nice. It sounds
Yeah,
like you had a
man.
really good week.
Yeah, it was a good week. It was great. It was great. It's always good to hang out with the family and do our thing and have no really big plans.
Yeah.
So, how was your week? What's going on?
Now, let's see. My week was really good. Like a lot going on. I I was streaming all week, except for like 2 days. I took 2 days off, normal days, and that's partially because of that 42 jelly bean boozle challenge.
Oh my
I
gosh, yeah.
I mean that thing just tore me apart. It was disgusting. It was such a bad idea. I understand that it was for a celebration of hitting the 50 subs on Twitch, but it was such a bad idea. It's out there on our YouTube, Super Friends, if you haven't seen it, and you want to watch me suffer for about 6 or 7 minutes and try to not throw up on camera. That's worth going and watching. I will say
It
it
is
is
worth it.
is
I'll say
highly
that.
highly entertaining. Um, let's see. So like that was kind of up and down, but I played a game called Among Us, and this game I don't know if Matt if I've told you about it yet or not, but
We talked about it last week
yeah.
on the
So
podcast.
I I've played it previously, but this last week I actually streamed it, and I had a group of people, and we played it together on Friday night. I think
Nice.
I think Matt that I may make that a more regular mainstay to have like one night of the week where I stream and it's a community night and we play games like
Yeah.
that because it was so much
Yeah.
fun having people jump in and play and chat and a game
That's
like that.
super great.
You sit there and you make accusations like no 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 it was this guy and he did it and or she did
Yeah.
it and it's just a lot of fun.
Nice,
It's
man.
it's
That's
just a
awesome.
lot of fun. So
It sounds fun.
we did that. Let's see here. We watched a movie. Actually, we watched a couple movies this week, but we watched this movie on Netflix called Enola Holmes. It's kind of the younger sister of Sherlock and Mycroft Holmes.
Yes.
Have you seen
Yeah.
it?
No, no, no. I've
Okay.
heard about it. I didn't feel the need. Oh, my light's going crazy here. Sorry, guys. Did not feel the need to watch Enola Holmes. It
It
just doesn't seem like my kind of movie.
it was surprisingly fun.
Nice. Okay.
I watched it with Brita. I mean, if I have to compare like that to like the BBC Sherlock,
Right.
I'm gonna take Sherlock every day of the week.
Sure.
But it is fun. Like it was really really kind of a fun little movie, and it had Millie Bobby Brown as Enola Holmes, and it
Yep.
had Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. And I went, okay, I'd watch a sequel if they did a sequel to this, but if they were to spin off and do a Sherlock Holmes Netflix movie with Henry Cavill, I wouldn't say
Right.
no to that either, Matt. Like
Oh, so he plays Sherlock
he
Holmes.
plays Sherlock Holmes, but it's kind of like
Okay.
he's not the main character. So
Right.
he's in it and he's in it a number of times, but he's not the
But he's
main.
not
Yeah.
he's not the main event.
Nope, he's not the main event. So did
It's
that.
all about okay.
Let's see. We got flu shots today. The boys and
Ooh, good
I.
for you.
Yeah, nah. I feel bad because the flu shot I know can be very very beneficial, but I feel like every time I get it, I end up
You
getting the
get the
flu.
flu.
And
Ah,
I know that that is very 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 non-scientific. I know it's circumstantial evidence at best. Uh it's just it seems to be what happens. But
yeah.
the kids got it. And listen, last year we went down to the school. We did the same thing. We went down to the school to do it this year. But
Okay.
last year we went down and did the flu shot at the school, and I think it was Charlie. No, it was Jackson. Jackson started crying so badly before he'd even got it. Like when they do like the little alcohol swab on the arm,
Sure, sure.
he was freaking out so bad at that that like the other kids they were like waiting their turn to have the flu shot started crying. Like that was our experience last year. Like they scared all the other kids, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm a horrible father. I'm a horrible father. Like this is just, ugh. This year, we didn't tell them they were doing the flu shot in the morning. We just picked them up at the end of the day. And we're like, hey, here's the thing. We got to go back to school. And they said, why? I said, we got to get the flu shot. So they had like literally maybe 10 minutes to prep tops instead of like knowing about it all day. And I
Yep.
said, we're going to do the flu shot. And then after the flu shot, we're going to go get Happy Meals at McDonald's because I know you guys like Happy Meals. And I said, look, it's just going to be a little pinch and then it's over. I said, last year you guys did this and you were fine. You'll be fine this time. You've done stuff that's worse when we had to like use the little freeze stuff to get that wart off your foot. And so like I started saying like you've done worse, you've done worse. This is
Right.
little. It's a little pinch. Da, 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 da. I'm expecting I'm expecting it to be a nightmare like the year before when like the other kids, went screaming for the doorway because Jackson would not stop screaming and crying at the top of his lungs in this gymnasium. Today, Charlie went in and I was like, Charlie, and he's like looking because he wants to know. And I was like, just buddy, just look me in the eye. Just look. I'm like, right when this is gonna do it, just look me in the eye. He starts looking me in the eye, but he's trying to like look down to the side also. I'm like, Charlie, Charlie,
Yeah, of
Charlie,
course.
right here, look me in the eye. And then he kind of goes, I see him wince a little bit, and then they're done, and he's like, hey, that's not so bad. I'm like, good job, Charlie. And then I turn over to see Jackson, just thinking like, oh, he's probably gonna be throwing a fit, and he was already done. And I was like, wait, what? I thought so. I was so focused in just like trying to keep Charlie with me and not paying attention that I just assumed that like they hadn't even started over there. They were done. They they
Oh my
they were completely done. I
gosh.
was like, great. So anyway, we all got flu shots. It went super easy, which means next year I can remind them about how easy it went this year, and hopefully it won't even be a thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That was good. That was really good. I am listening to the Dune audiobook, knowing that the movie is going to be coming out later this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Who knows with
Yep.
COVID? But I've been enjoying that. But the big thing is I have returned to Animal Crossing New Horizon as well. I played it over the weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. I probably dumped easily 3 to 4 hours in it each day, so I probably put in close to 10 hours
Yep.
over the weekend. because I got to go back. It's been months. I got to clean up my island and get rid of all the
Mm-hmm.
weeds and
Do you have
started.
cockroaches in your house?
Oh yeah, I had cock. I have
And your
two.
hair was all wild?
Yeah, my hair was all wild, which I wish I could actually keep my hair like
Keep
that
it.
because it kind of
Yeah.
looks kind of cool. I have two houses, Matt. So I have my house, and then I created a second player on my Switch, and fully built another house because I'm going to convert that house into a restaurant,
Right.
and so I can buy back some space and not have to have like outdoor restaurants or whatever on my island. Um, but I had to go kill cockroaches in my house and in the second house, and so I run around stepping on little cockroaches. But there's a lot to do, and so now I feel like I've kind of caught up. So now I'm gonna start doing like the maintenance stuff kind of daily. Take like half an hour once a day, and you can kind of get that stuff done. But I'm gonna start now like fleshing and filling out and fleshing out more of the island. What I want to do, it's the Halloween event, the fall update. So like everything's like spooky, scary, pumpkins and this and that. And so
Mhm.
starting to try to get those things so I can start crafting and doing all that stuff. So it's kind of nice to go back to this because it feels comfortable and relaxing, and it's just kind of I can
Yeah.
step away from all the other things for a little bit of time and just like relax. Whereas like some of my other games I play are a little more, competitive or intense. This is just kind of a chill game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Animal Crossing, getting back into it this time, is the first time I've been playing a game in a while.
Mm.
I played Fall Guys like a little bit,
Yeah,
but not a ton. And Ghost of Tsushima, I haven't played that in forever. And those are the games I've last played.
really.
So this is like, yeah, I've kind of fallen off the video game bandwagon for about a month.
Mm.
I need to get back. I almost beat Ghost of Tsushima. I was about finished, so I need to get back in that and beat it. There's just so much to do in that game.
Polish it off, and then you got to start that Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah, oh my
Oh
gosh.
yeah.
I tried to play the first one and I was like, gosh, the controls and it's so old. I don't think I can play it. I
Stick
don't think I want to play it.
stick with that one only because the story and the character development's really good. So when you get to the second one where like the controls get a lot tighter and a lot better feeling, and the fidelity of how it looks improves a bunch more, like you're going to be happy that you have that story and that background when you start
Yeah.
the second game.
Yeah. I'll see what I can do. There's so many things to do, so many games to play.
I get it.
But yeah, man.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
That's my week, Matt. I think it's time that we should jump into that Rebel Intelligence. What do you say?
Let's do it.
So, do you have a way you want to kill the Bothans this week?
Let's like Baby Yoda choke him.
Sounds good to me.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we're into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
All right. So we discussed this last week on the podcast, and Disney Plus, like right after I feel like we recorded the podcast, the next day, Disney Plus dropped their feature called Group Watch,
So,
which allows you to invite.
what you're saying is every time we talk about Bob Iger and Bob Chapek being friends of ours and listening to the podcast, the Super Friends doubted us, and we proved them right by saying, "Hey, look,
I
we had the scoop on this."
We did. Bob emails us. Y'all don't believe us. Bob emails us and tells us
I'm
everything, and
telling
we
you.
try and make it as vague as possible when we discuss it on the podcast. Um, but when I saw this, I launched it because I wanted to try. Well, first there were two things I wanted to try. One is just the general functionality,
Sure.
just to see how it works and if it's easy. Um, and then two, I wanted to see if people on the same like access, like me and Jesse,
Yeah.
could do that, or if you had to be from like a different account. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yep.
So I wanted to test those two things out. So one, it worked no problem.
Hmm.
You go to the movie you want to watch, you click on the group watch button, and then it says, "Who do you want to invite?" And I clicked on Jesse. It was like it accessed my contacts. I did it on my phone, so it accessed my contacts, sent her a text message. She clicked it, and we synced up, and we started watching the greatest movie ever, The Rise of Skywalker.
Ugh.
That was the first movie that popped up.
Ugh.
So, and yeah, anyway, it was hard for me to gauge how well it was working. It was pretty close. It was maybe like at most 1 second behind each other. So it was close enough to where if you're in separate homes, you're not going to notice.
Right.
What I did notice was there's a little bit of catching up when somebody would skip forward. It was like a little bit choppy and awkward.
Hmm.
So we'll see how they smooth that out. But I was also literally holding the phones right next to each other.
Okay. Yep.
So we'll see. But I will say functionality great, really, really easy to use. When one person pauses it, the whole movie pauses so they can go to the bathroom and come back or whatever they're going to do.
Oh, really?
If they skip forward halfway through, everybody skips forward. So it's like you're watching it on one screen. It's
So
actually really, really cool.
let me ask you some questions. Could you skip forward as the person that was invited in and pause it
Yeah.
as the person? Okay, so it's not just like here's the person hosting it, they
Correct.
control it. Oh, okay.
So anyone can control the movie or the show. And then it gives you a set of like 4 to 6 emojis that you can use at any time. So you're not typing and throwing messages up,
Right.
but you're
Yeah.
interacting with these emojis, like a heart and a laughing one, the normal reactions you would have to watching something, and the angry one or the oh my goodness. So
Well, that's one of the things you and I said we thought was a problem was that with some
yeah.
of the other ones with like, the Netflix or whatever, you got to have a Chrome plug-in, you have to be sitting at a computer or somewhere where you can get a keyboard you can type. But I like the fact that they've integrated this and just given you some emojis because it won't matter what device you're on, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, it was easy and it looked nice. I mean, I like this way more than the ideas of the other ones because it's integrated to all of them. It'll work on your tablet, it'll work on
Yeah.
your phone, it'll work on your smart TV, your Apple TV, your Fire TV, your Google, whatever the heck and fetch you use to get your stuff to your device. So pretty cool.
I appreciate, Matt, that you were willing to take the extra step for us and not only like look
Yeah,
at
man.
it, but that you actually like did an actual functionality test to say like, here's what it looks like in the same room. Here's what it looks like, working and skipping and pausing and whatnot. That's
Yeah. I thought with The Mandalorian coming up, it might be cool to try either with you guys or with family or something to just try it out. So I
yeah.
wanted to make sure it worked first and see how it worked and how easy it was. Because when you're dealing with your parents, I mean, they're old. They don't know what
Right.
anything is. So
What button do
it
I
was
push
easy.
to do the little emoji
Yeah.
with the smiley face? Yeah, you don't want to deal with that.
Right. So anyway, it was pretty cool. Hopefully they can get it working and you can do a virtual Stranger Things party next time Stranger Things comes out. That's the big one. I think people will
I
use that kind of a
like that.
feature for.
I think we should here in the Fortress of Nerditude, we should like organize a watch party and do something. And
Nice.
just us, not just us, but like, we'll get some super friends in and we'll
Yeah.
make a date and we'll just do it and say here's what it is. We'll send out invites.
Right.
And then I
Right.
don't know, we'll watch something I don't know, ridiculous, like Mighty Ducks or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I already watched it.
Of course you have.
And yeah, D2 also D3. They have already been watched by me, but I'd gladly watch any of those again.
Let me ask you a question. Does the feature of the group watch on Disney Plus, does it have a crying emoji?
I think it has it does. Definitely has a crying emoji. And the
Yes.
laughing so hard you're crying emoji.
Okay, good. Because we could watch Miracle and like the last half of that movie would just be nothing but Matt crying emojis.
All the crying emojis.
All the cry emojis. Well, good, Matt.
Nice.
I'm glad you
Yes.
that's good news. I like that you start with good news. I, on the other hand, I'm gonna start with some bad news.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
I'm gonna start with some bad news, and then we'll get a little weird, and then we'll get better. So,
Okay.
are you gonna be surprised at all if I say, hey, the new James Bond movie is being delayed? Are you are you gonna be surprised?
No, no, of
No.
course not.
No, of course not, because everything is being delayed. But officially, No Time to Die, the 25th James Bond film that was originally scheduled for April 10th, then moved to November 25th, then now it's going to open up April 2nd in 2021. And this has been pushed a number of times. And most recently, it got pushed because they were using Christopher Nolan's Tenet movie as kind of a litmus test to see, like,
Right.
even for a big marketed, big tentpole movie, that's something that's, guaranteed to bring in the box office dollars, is that enough to actually bring people back to the theaters? And resoundingly, we can say that Tenet did not do that. Look, it got so rough, Matt, that they decided to not report the numbers daily like they normally do, and just kind of said, we're going to report the weekly numbers, which we all know even that was abysmal. So, not surprising, they're going to move back No Time to Die, James Bond's 25th outing. So, not surprising. Now, here's what is surprising that goes along with this, and it kind of tacks onto this. So there's a company out of the UK, and their name is Cineworld. And Cineworld owns the Regal US chain,
Yeah.
which is like the number 2 like movie chain in all the United States. And I guess Cineworld has this massive massive number of theaters in the UK. So the parent company decided that they're shutting down all of their theaters in the UK and all of their theaters in the United States, which we're talking like 340 maybe to 400 locations in the US, and we're talking like another, I don't know, like another so many in the UK. But they were saying that like what they've really wanted to like try to keep things going, and some Regal cinemas here was like kind of keeping open, kind of not, and trying to like do the whole like we're only going to be open to 25-30% capacity, and people still aren't showing up. And so they've got people coming in and working, and there's no one showing up. So they decided that basically they're shutting their doors. And that is 543 locations in the United States, which is a total of 7,155 screens that are going to continue to remain dark. And when they were pressed about like when they plan on reopening, they just said, we don't know. We're going to wait until this pandemic. So the company's not closing its doors. Like they're not saying like, hey, we are going out of business, but they're just saying like, we're shutting down until people decide to come back to the movie theaters. Matt, how long do you think they're going to get shut? How long do you think they're going to stay shut down?
Gosh, I don't know. It's like asking when are we going to get back to quote normal.
Right?
It's here's I don't know. I think April's optimistic still for James Bond.
I think it is
I
too.
do. And it's not because I think the pandemic is getting worse or that I would be uncomfortable going. I just think the general public isn't ready to go back to the movie theater.
Yep.
We've learned as a society and as human beings to adapt. And I think we figured out that movie theaters are not essential to our happiness. And we've found other things to do that doesn't involve movie theaters
Yeah.
on the weekend. I mean, when you've been out of it for 6, 8, however long it's been now,
Right.
you find other things to do. And we're
Animal
seeing
Crossings.
that. Yeah. I think you're seeing it across the board. And movie theaters aren't the only thing suffering. When you look at the NBA finals, this is the least watched NBA finals by far
Right.
by millions and millions. There are 4.4 million people who watched game 2. 4.4 million?
So
That is
small.
less. That's like, that's one of the, that it's incredible. That like blows my mind when you think about only that many people watched the NBA finals. When
Right.
Jordan was playing, it was 35 million.
Right.
And now you're talking 4.4, and you've got the biggest superstar in the world playing in the one
Yeah.
of the two biggest markets. You're like, geez. So I think we're just finding other ways to be entertained.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a long time till the movie business bounces back. I think April is optimistic.
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
could. It all depends, right, on the pandemic. It all depends on
Vaccines, obviously,
vaccines,
that would change
but
things.
really it's consumer confidence, right? So like if we start getting vaccines, and let's say we start getting a vaccine in late winter, and more and more people start getting it, people are going to start feeling more comfortable trying to return to normal life if there's a vaccine, and if that vaccine is, effective. If it's 50% effective, people may say, let's wait a little while.
Yeah.
Let's hold off. If it's 80, 85, 90% effective, people are going to be like, okay, I've got the vaccine now. Let's
Right.
let's go back. So
Mhm.
I still think that the movie theater industry, similar to like amusement parks and cruises and anything that's kind of like entertainment related, I think those industries are gonna are gonna suffer the worst because they're gonna take the longest to get back consumer confidence that it's worth going out and being out for. So my hope is that we start seeing a soft return to the movie theater industry, the film industry, by middle of next summer. A soft return. And that by the end of next year, we will see not necessarily like a complete, hey, everything's over, we're totally fine, nothing ever happened, but at least like a stronger resurgence towards we're getting back to normal as far as movie going attendance is here in the United States and probably through the world.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what just because we're on this topic and on this thought here, I think that Tenet had the right idea. I think it was too soon. Like what we need, what's going to get people back to the theaters is a massive blockbuster that is only out in theaters. And as much as I like Christopher Nolan, I know a lot of people who are like, it's Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
It's not Marvel. It's not Star Wars. It's not
Right.
Harry Potter. It's not, these massive franchises. It's going to take
It's going to take a
it's
big
going
one.
to take Disney, and it's going to take a really big Disney movie, like a really big one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that really, really big one is. I don't know if Black Widow's big enough to do that. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Well, I've got more pandemic stuff just because we're talking about the pandemic. Gosh darn it. Disney Parks announced layoffs of 28,000 cast members at their US parks.
Yeah.
And that's obviously bad news.
Yeah.
Obviously sad news. That's a lot of people losing their job. And Bob, or not Bob Iger or Bob Chapek, but Josh D'Amario, who is like the head of the Disney parks. One of them, I guess.
Right.
He's quoted, I'll just get the juicy part here. In light of the prolonged impact of COVID-19 on our business, including limited capacity due to physical distancing requirements and the continued uncertainty regarding the duration of the pandemic, exacerbated in California by the state's unwillingness to lift restrictions that would allow Disneyland to reopen, we have made the very difficult decision to begin the process of reducing our workforce at our parks, experiences, and product segments at all levels. So there's a lot at play here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone's got their own thoughts and their own opinions. And if you live in the United States, you know that each state has their own regulations and requirements, and each city has their own regulations and requirements. And if you didn't think it was important to vote locally, now you know how important it is to vote locally
Sure.
so that
Yeah.
your beliefs are represented in the city that you live in. And you can vote smart and you can say, well, I like this, but I don't like this. And I need to vote for this candidate who would handle this situation the way I would want it handled. Because when you're Disney, you look at Florida, and Disney World's been open for a long time, months and months and months now. I went on a trip to Disney World.
Right.
Disneyland is not even close. Not even close.
Nope.
And in light of this news, I don't know if you know this, Spencer. I pulled up another article just to confirm that I was right because I read this the other day. Bob Iger stepped away
Yeah.
from Governor Newsom's
Yep. His task force.
Economic Recovery Council
Yeah.
out of frustration and protest, basically, of Governor Newsom's unwillingness to allow theme parks to reopen. So we're definitely seeing the pandemic hurt Disney, hurt individuals, hurt businesses. And we're also seeing government playing a role in that. Whether you agree with it or don't, you cannot
Right.
say that government and their handling of the situation does not play a role, because it does.
Well, I think you bringing up the Walt Disney World versus Disneyland comparison shows that, because right now Florida in the United States, they've like lifted all restrictions pretty much. They're pretty much, as far as like,
Their bars are open,
I mean,
man.
yeah, I mean, everything's pretty much fair game there. Whereas like California, they're still extremely restrictive on lots and lots of different types of businesses. And that's all about who's in charge, who's making choices, and how they're approaching the pandemic. So what was interesting to me that you brought up the Bob Iger thing, because obviously you and I know that my wife is obsessed with Disney, and she told me, she said, yeah, I'm reading some of these blogs and they think that they could be opening up Disneyland pretty soon, because Disneyland is, really trying to petition the governor really hard, this and that and this. And then like the next day I read an article that says that Bob Iger was so frustrated by the fact that the government is not accepting input from the people that run and own the parks about how they can effectively and safely reopen, and that they're willing to just put restrictions on them without any input from the business owners, that he left the little task force or the committee, whatever it is. And I brought that up to my wife. She's like, well, I don't know what that means. I said, honestly, I don't think we're gonna see Disneyland open up anytime soon. I said, not when we're approaching cold and flu season and all this other stuff. I was like, it's sad, because it's a big pop culture place. Like, it's, for some people, making the trek to Disneyland or Disney World, that's their pilgrimage. That's like where they want to go to, right? And I get it. It's a holy spot if you worship at the House of Mouse. It's a holy spot if you've got children that love that. Like, it's a big thing. It's a big touchstone for a lot of people in their lives. Yep. But unfortunately, Disneyland's not opening anytime soon.
Yeah, so that's the news. It's sad news, and it's so interesting. You learn a lot. I've learned a lot about pandemics. I've learned a lot about politics. I've learned a lot about business and the reliance they all have on each other. And we don't get political here, but I have learned where I lie. That's what I will say. I've kind of learned a lot about myself and where I lie as it pertains to these issues. So, and I won't show my cards here.
Well, Matt, I got something different for you.
What do you got?
So we know about the whole debacle with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS with their pre-launch and some of the information not coming out. So we know that Miles Morales, and we've talked about this, is, they're kind of hyping it up as like, this is one of their games that's coming out on the PS5 on release day. And then they walked it back and they're like, and we're still releasing it to PS4. I get it. Like, I understand that decision, and I'm not going to get into that. But what they did say is that they were going to do a remaster of Spider-Man to release on the PS5, which is extremely exciting. And I kind of went, I mean, I already have it, but if it looks even better, like
Right.
maybe I pick it up. Maybe I pick it up and I replay it because that's a game. Gosh, you'd want to replay. But then we're getting into this world of like saves from the PS4 may not come over to the PS5. You like it starts getting like all this weirdness, and I'm going, okay, so I'd have to start all over again. Okay, fine, whatever. Then here's where it gets really, really off the rails. So they dropped some footage and showed off the remaster version of Spider-Man on the PS5.
Yep.
And Peter Parker, who is the main character, looks nothing like he does in the PS4. And I went, okay, maybe this is just a remaster, because they did say like we're going to focus on things like skin and teeth and hair and eyes and like the things that they can really like do a lot better to really make it pop and stand out. But this isn't just fixing someone's teeth and eyes and skin and hair.
Yep.
That what they did is they said that they actually went back and had someone model for the role of Peter Parker, and they took a whole new model so that the new model fits closer to the voice of the voice actor, whose name is, I believe, Yuri Owenthal or something like that. Lowenthal, Yuri Lowenthal, and they wanted his face to look more like Yuri's face, and to capture that versus the actor that played Peter Parker, John Bubniak, who was the model for the first game. And so they went on to like kind of explain it, but man, let me tell you something. The internet is up in arms because this game literally just came out in 2018, and they're already doing a remaster, but they completely changed the character model, and it doesn't it's not a close comparison. If this was like they changed it, it looks close, but it's a little off. No, this would be like saying like, hey, we had Michael Keaton as Batman in 1989, but here comes 1995, and we've got freaking Iceman from Top Gun. What's his name? Oh gosh, I just spaced his name at the last second. Val Kilmer, and it's totally the same guy, guys. Like, no, they're not the same guy. They look completely different. It is so weird, and I don't know how I feel about it other than like I don't like the change. If I'd played, I think this remastered one and never seen the other one wouldn't be a problem. Right. No problem whatsoever. But just like this game's not that old, and to completely change the character model, I kind of look at it and go, yeah, this is weird. Like recasting this to do this for a video game that close, it just, I don't know. Have you seen any of the video or the side by sides?
Oh, I've seen lots of it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What is your take on this? Do you like
this?
So
first of all, I'll say this: what we got to see briefly of the gameplay, it's beautiful.
It's amazing.
Like it already was amazing and beautiful on PS4 on my big TV playing it. I mean, it was awesome. But then I watched this and I was like, holy crap, it's better.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I did not think it would be that much of an improvement, but it was.
Yeah.
I was blown away. I was like, okay, I could see myself playing this game again. And then they showed like the cutscene where Peter's talking with Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying, but I will say this about the PS4 version of Spider-Man. I did not like the character models. I thought that they looked really cheesy, especially coming off of games like Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like almost photorealistic at moments, where they just look so fluid. To me, PS4 or Insomniac, this is where, to me, they dropped the ball. Again, just for me, Peter did not look good, in my opinion. And so I think it's a dramatic improvement. And I know I'm against the internet here, and probably many listening who take the original as the holy grail. It just looks better.
Okay,
I think he looks more like a Spider-Man.
I'm not going to disagree with you, actually, because I agree when I play that game and I first played through it, every single time I'd see Peter, I was like,
Yeah, me too.
like I did always feel like his face didn't fit his body, but they
Yeah.
did make him look like he was graduate student Peter Parker, whereas
Totally,
this
I get that.
remaster's like 16-year-old in high school
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Yeah,
And I
that's
went,
true.
you tipped the balance too far the other way. Now, like I said, if you hadn't played the original, which I say the original like it's like this is
Old.
25 years ago, 2 years ago. If you hadn't played the original, if you're
Yeah.
playing the remaster, like, and that's it, you're never gonna
Yeah.
notice some kid
Right.
who's gonna open up a PS5 on Christmas morning and is
Yeah.
gonna have the remastered Spider-Man who's never like. That's gonna be an amazing experience. They're in for an amazing game. It's not gonna be a problem. But for those of us that played the other ones, we kind of look at it and go, just why? Just why?
I get it.
I mean,
I get it. I get it. I don't know why they redid the whole
I don't know.
thing. Could you not have? Maybe they just couldn't. Maybe it wasn't possible for them to improve like what already existed, and so they
Dude,
had to go from the ground up.
they
I
made
don't-
Robert Downey Jr. in what Iron Man 3 or Civil War look like he was
Yeah.
back as teenage version of Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
So you can't tell me we
Right.
don't have the technology at this point to be like, let's make it look
Look,
a little better.
I don't make video games. I just play them for
Okay.
fun sometimes.
Fair enough. Fair
I'm
enough.
just trying to come up with reasons as to why it looks better, though. I don't know. I don't understand an argument where people say it doesn't look as good. Like, to me,
No.
that's foolish.
No, it looks amazing.
Better.
It's just a dramatic shift.
It's weird.
And they
It's totally
changed
weird.
they changed the age. If it looked that good, but it was like,
Yeah.
hey, here's like 24, 25-year-old Peter maybe versus
Yep.
16-year-old, because he just looks young. He just looks
Yeah,
too
he
young.
does. He does look too young. All right. Speaking of not being young anymore,
Oh. Who's
It's-
not young?
the cast of the Karate Kid.
That's true.
So we're gonna go with Cobra Kai, y'all. We
Mm,
got a little teeny teaser
yes.
just this week
Just a little one. though.
about season 3 of Cobra Kai. And I don't want to spoil it for those that haven't seen it, so I'm not going to say what's in it, but certainly part of the cliffhanger between or after season 2 is somewhat answered
Yeah.
in at least some capacity.
Yeah.
And it's epic and it's amazing. And oh, I did not mention this. Jessie watched seasons 1 and 2 this week. She couldn't put it down.
Yes. Yes.
She was like, Matt, why didn't I mean when I started watching, I was like, you need to watch this.
Did
and
she
she's like,
give
"Can
you
you
the
wait?" And
why
I was
didn't
like, "I'm not
you
gonna
yeah,
wait."
yeah, okay. Yep.
Are you kidding me? No, this is important. I have to watch this now. And
It's prep for the podcast, baby. I have to.
exactly. So she rolled through it fast, and she's talking to me about it as it's going along. Like, I hope they figured this out. And I'm like, these are small potatoes compared to what happens in that finale. Like,
Right, yeah.
those little dramas don't
Yeah.
matter in like 20 minutes of the show.
Yep.
Anyway, so Cobra Kai season 3 coming out January
Yes.
of this year. I think it's January 8th.
January 20
Yep,
January
January.
2021. Yep.
January 8th, 2021. And then
Mhm.
at the end, season 4 in training. So we know for
Yes.
sure that we are getting a season 4 of Cobra Kai. Cannot be a surprise.
Well,
This was a home run
yeah.
get for Netflix,
yeah,
man.
for sure.
I think it just has seen so many, like myself and Jesse, for example, like YouTube Red, and like I
Yeah.
never really knew how to access it, didn't care, and everybody talked about it, but I was like, it seems like such a hassle. And then when I read Netflix was getting it, I was like, okay, I'll watch this when it comes out. And it was in the top 10 for like the first month that it was on
Yep.
Netflix, and
The
big show.
The only thing that surprises me, Matt, is like we talked about this months ago, that they were shopping the show around because season 3 was done, but they wanted to get a commitment to a 4th season, and they felt Netflix was the best place, and they were trying to figure that out. And we talked about how Netflix wanted to gobble up any content that was ready to go so they could get
Right.
stuff out immediately. What's kind of crazy is like by time this actually gets out, we're going to be over a year into this global pandemic. And so like, yes, it's still going to come out probably before other shows are, because we know, like we've talked about how the Batman movie is filming again. We know about how like the Mandalorian started filming, and how The Witcher season 2 is filming, and like how some of these shows are getting going, but we know that still means that there's going to be a delay till they actually go live. Like, you brought up Stranger Things. Stranger Things is getting ready to start filming, but it's still going to be a while. What just is kind of crazy to me is that it took them long enough to make a deal that, like, if they would have dropped season 3 of Cobra Kai, let's say in July or August, everyone on the planet would have seen all 3 seasons of Cobra Kai. Now that they're going to drop it like in January, I still think it's going to do blockbuster business for them. But I think it's kind of like we said with the Tiger King thing, right? Tiger King probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as popular as it was, but it dropped at that perfect moment when like everything was shutting down, everyone was being told to go home and work from home. Some people weren't working; they were told, "Hey, we're closing." Yeah. And so people had time on their hands, and Netflix, viewings jumped way up. So I still think this is going to be great and huge. I think they just missed that window, though, to make it like the thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, who knows?
It's
I hear
still
what you're saying, though.
It's still going to be good.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Okay, here's the last thing I have. Do you have anything else, Matt?
No, I'm out, man.
Here's the last thing I have, and this is fun. Like, this is a more positive thing, and this is a thing that I didn't know was really on the horizon. Disney Plus has a new show that they're talking about. It's Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Once again, we know that we've got shows like WandaVision coming out, and Loki, and Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Whatever.
Yeah, Falcon, Winter Soldier. And we know that like we're going to get She-Hulk, and we're going to get Moon Knight, and I still think Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, Matt, I still believe that's going to happen. But
okay.
Now we're getting reports from Deadline that Disney Plus is going to do Miss Marvel, and that they've already cast the lead role of Miss Marvel. It is a young woman, and I've got her name here. She is, let's see here. Her name is Vellani. Let's see, what is it? I missed her first name. Iman Vellani. She's fairly young. I believe she's like 18 years old. She is very fresh. She doesn't even currently have an IMDb page. So she is a brand new actress. However, she's been kind of doing stuff up in Canada with like the Toronto International Film Festival, where she's helped the program, and she's written stuff for them, and she's really into Marvel. Like, they were asked her, like, if you could be any Marvel character, who would you be? She's like, Iron Man, duh. And so like she's really, really into this, but she's young, she's gonna fit this role, and Miss Marvel's gonna center on this Pakistani American Jersey girl, who has the ability to stretch her body in crazy long ways and do all these things and twist and turn. She is kind of like one of the main characters of this Marvel Avengers game that's out right now. And so and I know she's extremely popular in that game. And so I think that the MCU and Disney Plus is saying like, hey, we're going to grab someone that looks similar to that. We're going to have a series, and they're already saying that her character is going to span between the Disney Plus and into the movies somehow down the road.
Nice.
That's all we know about this. It's still really early, but they have cast Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel for an upcoming Disney Plus series. I gotta say,
nice.
I'm excited by this, and I'm also excited that even though because of the whole pandemic stuff, things have been pushed back, it sounds like Disney has a ton of MCU shows loaded up in the hopper that they're going to be able to start to go and go and go. And we're going to be able to like run out that clock on the old Marvel shows that are over on Netflix, and then they could bring those in, and we'd have even more. Just get it. Like, I'm just so pumped about this. I'm pumped.
we're getting for like it felt like 6 months, Spencer,
I know.
that we were putting out bad news.
I
Delays,
know.
delays, sad, sad. Like, and they're like, "Oh, Batman's back." No, but Robert Pattinson got the COVID.
Right.
Anyway, it's nice. It's nice to see all the stuff come up, and then during the week, we don't talk about every show that's back in production.
Right.
We don't do
Yep.
this. I mean, there's shows that I love. Riverdale that is back in production. They've already filmed a bunch of stuff for their fifth season, and so we know that.
Yeah.
I would venture to say most shows are back, and they're filming and
Or
they're
they're
doing it
or
in
they're like
some type of
right on the edge of that. Yeah.
yeah, or they're about to start pick back up whatever it is that they were doing. I think that we've had this lull, and this fall is going to be with shows that it's just not going to happen unless they're reality shows, which they've kind of most reality shows have found a way around, the social distancing necessary
Yeah.
to make a show. But I think we're gonna have a good 2021. I think we're gonna be back to normal form for watching and consuming media as far as TV shows, movies,
Yeah.
not so much.
I agree with you. I agree with you. 2021, I think it's going to be a big year for TV and a big year
Yeah,
for
big.
streaming services.
Yes, yes. Let's get more
Because
freaking movies on demand,
because
please.
remember, there's been a little old show that's being filmed for Amazon down in New
Ah,
Zealand because they haven't had the COVID in like forever
nope.
because they got it under control on their island. So that Lord of the Rings, that series has been filming for a while now. So maybe fingers crossed 2021 there it's too. Anyway,
Chill.
lots and lots of good stuff potentially coming down the road
Yeah,
here.
man, it's awesome. It's very exciting.
That's the last thing I had in Rebel Intelligence. Let's jump over to our question of the week. So, last week in episode 201, we did talk about this watch party feature. And we did say that, hey, we're waiting for Disney to roll something out. And then, boom, Bob Iger took our email and he wrote it out. And he's like,
Bobby.
here you go. So, we asked the Super Friends, what would be a show? What would be something you would want to do in a watch party situation that you would watch with people who hadn't seen it before and go through that experience.
Yes.
And we got some good answers. So
I'm excited.
Let's go over to email like we always do, and we will start with Peter Christensen. And he says, "Dear nerds, sorry I missed the 200th episode. It was a busy week. I'll keep it short to the recap of the last two episodes. Your celebration was great, and for new super friends, I recommend you listen to the opening of episode 100. It's a fun tribute to the first 100 episodes. So, famously, I decided to take all the Punch It Chewies, and clip all 100 of them together, and did that for episode 100. I did seriously consider doing that for 200, and I thought, geez, this thing is going to go on for like 8 minutes. So, I didn't do it, but it is fun. I do agree with Peter. Go back to episode 100. It's like 2.5 minutes long. It really is. It's
Oh
just
my
ridiculous. He says, I love the Bean Boozled challenge, and I was both rooting for and against you for each bean. I'm saving the second Bean Boozled video for a special occasion. I am glad that, like you, Peter, like every one of the Super Friends, was both rooting for and against me all at the same time. And I understand. I'd be doing the same thing if it was me. Peter goes on and says, I love the first X-Men movie with one significant nitpick. If Magneto plans to kill all the humans, I hope he's looking forward to farming. Even if you hate humans, we do make a lot of useful stuff.
True.
I mean, there's some like, how does that work out? Are you thinking about that? He says, we're about to bail on New Girl partway through season 5. It has lost the frantic sparkle it had in the beginning, unless Matt wants to talk me into finishing it. Matt, would you like to take a moment and
look
and do
I
this?
can understand. There were some episodes that I didn't love and some that I skipped, and the whole thing with Megan Fox, I didn't really love that season.
Megan
and
Fox
I'm not
is in
sure
it?
if that's 5. Yeah. She's in it for like half a season. She's a main character. Long
Really?
story short, stick around because the 7th and final season is absolutely worth it. If you care about the characters and their lives and their relationships, you get a lot of answers, and I shed a tear.
Okay.
In the season finale. They did it right, or in the series finale. They really did it right. They did a great job. Um, I would stick with it. I really would. It's great.
Okay. He says, here are my answers to the 200 questions. Eat 200 of something, Reese's Pieces. Collect 200 of something, pins. TV show with over 200 episodes, How I Met Your Mother. Most of the shows I liked didn't even come close to 200 episodes. I watched a lot of long shows when I was a kid, but I wouldn't watch them now. Movie franchise I've watched over 200 times, I've probably seen Conan the Destroyer, The Princess Bride, and Willow over 200 times each, but I can't confidently say I've watched any of the series that many times. Video game played over 200 hours, Game Boy Tetris. Movie I haven't seen 200 seconds of, Titanic. You're not missing much. The boat crashes. Spoiler alert.
Come on, jeez.
Favorite movie over 200 minutes, Return of the King Extended. The Right Stuff is 193 minutes. Very few choices over 200 minutes. Life 200 episodes from now, he says, I'll have one kid in college and no more elementary school kids. Hopefully my current employer has gone public. I'll still be dreading election season. He says, if I could travel to 1 year, I would go to 1893, attend the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, then take a train west to Utah to attend the Salt Lake Temple dedication. This was 1 year with two very specific events rather than a general era of history. Fair enough. And then he says, episode 201 follow-up. I'm excited for the Nick Fury show because of Kyle Bradstreet from Mr. Robot. That show is a great paranoid techno thriller and the perfect mood for Nick Fury's spycraft. I'm glad you brought up sharing viewing experiences on the episode because apparently your boy, Bob Iger, saw it on Twitch and got his best people to release Disney Plus Group Watch in time for the release of the podcast episode. I'm sure you've already talked about it in Rebel Intelligence, so I'll just congratulate you on the scoop. Hey, I mean, well, we did call it.
Goodness, Peter knows as well.
Peter's in, man. He knows. He's a super friend. That's what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
He says, I can't believe you didn't mention my choice for best group watch show, The Mandalorian. It's the first Star Wars joy I felt since The Force Awakens, and one of the most memorable, enjoyable shows in a long time. I think group watching the new Disney Plus Marvel shows would be very fun. I actually think that would be a great idea, sick. Matt, to do a group watch on those as they come out.
Yeah.
And he says, P.S. The 42 Bean Boozled video is excellent. I was both rooting for and against you the whole time. I was dying to hear you describe that maelstrom of horror going on in your mouth. You earned every one of those subs. And I'm not going to lie. Yes, sir, I did. That was rough. But I'm glad I was able to do it for you. All right, let's jump over to Twitter. We are at Fort of Nerd. We're going to go with Admiral Snackbar at @super_Gibby. He says, my favorite anime called Your Lie in April. It's a slice of life story, but it hits deep for me because of how much I relate to the main character, as he is a musician who struggles with some similar stuff that I do while trying to perform. It would really help people understand me as a performer and as a musician struggling with certain things that I struggle to talk about. That's interesting, Matt, because we kind of talked about things like we would want to experience with someone to watch their reaction and kind of fun stuff. But I like that Super Gibby here is saying he wants something that he could watch with them so that they might have a deeper understanding of him.
Yeah.
That's not even something I even considered when we talked about it. And nice. I feel like we missed the boat there because I could have been like, oh, this and this and this, some really, really great stuff. Yeah. Let's go to Nate Engberg at Nat Engberg. He says, long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony, but then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 100 years have passed, and my brother and I discovered the new Avatar, an airbender named Aang. Although his airbender skills are great, Aang had a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone. but I believe Aang can save the world. And it's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh wow, well, wouldn't have guessed.
Right. I do like that he did like a whole like kind of movie.
That's like the intro.
Movie
like,
trailer to it.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. Ryan Kubacki at RMK Buried Alive. Ryan says, "Great question. I'd have to say Fringe. Cop show, but with insane science and multiple timelines. I'm in. Another answer would be Death Note, if I could find someone that would want to watch that."
Spencer.
You watched it for us, and thankfully you gave us your rundown of it. And I appreciate that.
Man, so good.
Fringe, I keep thinking like Fringe.
I don't know what Fringe is.
I think it was a Netflix show with like Will Smith and like a blue alien, and they're like it's like a cop show.
No, that was Bright.
Oh, that's Bright?
Yeah, that was called Bright.
So then what is Fringe?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is either.
Some show on the Fringe.
Wow. I'm gonna have to look that up. Bernabe Butters at Dondays_Belmont says, funny enough, Death Note. He says Westworld, just to see how everything unravels and the theories that people come up with. Okay. Nice. I like that. Sleepy Paul at PCalico84 says, hello everyone. I'd watch Star Trek Discovery again. Or if we could do a movie, I'd watch Ghostbusters. Thanks, Ellis Time. I actually got to watch my wife experience Star Trek Discovery, and I keep saying like it kind of goes and it's world building, and then boom, like something happens and it just twists and just that's fun to watch people get that. The last one we have here is #SayHerName at DSpin67. He says The Wire, Game of Thrones, The Office, and Breaking Bad. And I think
Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad, so
Forgot
good.
about that.
So good. And The Wire. I love that D-Spin, Derek. I love that he brings up The Wire because that is one of my I love that show. It's a slow burn all the way through, but it's such a satisfying show. And I think that it gets a lot of love in the community of like we're kind of hip to TV shows and things that are like really quality, but as far as like the general audience, I think there's a lot of people that have missed that. A lot of people that have missed that. So yeah. I love that he brought that up. Super Friends, thank you so much for your answers this week. It was interesting to see what you would want to watch with other people. And now that we've got the group watch on Disney Plus, like we predicted and Bob Iger took notes on from us, you can go watch anything that's on the Disney Plus library. So get to watching. Matt, Super Friends are out there. They're helping us out every week. They come through for us. They do so much for us, whether it's answering our questions, whether it's showing up to the live recordings, whether it's supporting the streaming efforts that we do, whether it's showing up now to the community game night that we had. How can they help us? I mean, they're already doing a ton. Let's be honest. They're doing a ton, but how can they help us? Just if there's like a little extra mile, like a little extra thing they could do, how can they help us this week?
Subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the extra mile. Mention it on the 200th episode, the 201. That is the one thing that you can legitimately do for us, than my normal spiel.
Right.
Is to jump on Fortress of Nerditude on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell or whatever, and then you'll know when we post this and or other videos that we may put up in the future. Such as Bean Boozled challenges, reactions to things. Who knows what the world may come up with next?
And we're looking to bring some new stuff. So we're talking reaction videos.
So subscribe.
We might do some like quick hits of like here's little bits of Rebel Intelligence just to give you a little bit if you want to know our thoughts on something quick in the middle of the week. Like we got a lot of stuff. So Matt, I'm glad you brought that up because that's not like. After doing this for 200 episodes, it's just not in the brain yet. It'll get there.
Yep.
But I got to get it there.
This is the new one, and you won't know about it unless you subscribe.
It's
I mean,
true.
You'll know about it. We'll put it on social media, but still, hey, subscribe anyway, because then you'll know about it first.
And join the Discord.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
we got to get that in there too because that's new.
Uh-huh.
Join the
Jump in the
Discord.
Discord, join the chat,
Yep.
y'all. We just be chatting back and forth about anything.
Yep.
Anything. We're open to it.
Well,
Um,
mostly.
mostly. And then the other thing, those of you that have watched Death Note, and those of you that have not, I would appreciate if you would send over either a fan fiction involving Ryuk or some fan art, please, of the apple loving demigod, or I've even forgotten what he's called. God of Death, please.
Wow.
Please. Please.
Wow,
That's it.
Matt's looking for fanfic and fan art.
I'm not asking much.
You went
Just a
all
couple
in on this.
chapters of
You went
fanfic
all in on this. I love it. I
and a
love
little
that.
bit of fan art.
I love it. I love it. All right, Matt. Something we didn't talk about in Rebel Intelligence because we wanted to kind of talk about it in a broader sense.
Yep.
Jamie Foxx.
What a guy.
Well, I mean, yeah, Jamie Foxx. He's a guy.
He's a guy.
I like most things that he does.
Yeah, me too.
However, there was a role he was in a number of years ago that I didn't care for. That was his portrayal of Electro in the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
And I'm going to say that I liked Andrew Garfield. I liked the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, but I didn't care for Electro. And what's the word on the street right now regarding Electro and Jamie Foxx?
Yo, he's back. Electro is coming back, and Jamie Foxx is reprising his role as Electro in Spider-Man 3 with Tommy Holly.
Yeah.
I mean, so this opened, we were discussing, this opened a can of worms.
Yes, it does.
In a lot of different directions, and we're going to focus on one of those directions and ignore the other ones because that's all speculation.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting decision, because I think you're right. I think widely, for some reason that I don't fully understand, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies received a more hate than they deserved.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, particularly The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I get that there are some things about it that are not perfect, but I think it got a lot more hate than it deserved. And I was devastated when they had to move away from it, when the whole merger and everything that happened surrounding that awkward time with Sony and Marvel and Spider-Man. But now that you go back on it and you focus on Jamie Foxx, I can get that. It never felt uncomfortable to me. Like, I never thought, oh, I don't like this role, or I don't like how Jamie Foxx is doing this, or I don't like this character.
Right.
But I just wanted to throw that out there, that I am a lover of the Andrew Garfield, as you said as well.
Yep.
He does a great job, and those are great movies, in my opinion. But this is interesting casting news. I don't know. What did you make of it when you heard it?
So right off the bat, I was like, yuck. Ugh. Yeah. I don't want this. I don't want to see this. Like, I don't know why they're doing this. Because, so it's a little bit of backstory, right? When Sony decided to work with Marvel and the MCU, and they wanted to, because they knew that their Spider-Man stuff just was not hitting on all cylinders like the MCU movies were, they came to this deal and they said, okay, look, we'll allow you to put Spider-Man in the MCU and those films, but then the trade-off is you're going to help us write the actual Spider-Man movies so that they can be connected to the MCU and part of the MCU, but they also are going to be distributed by Sony Pictures, and so we're going to get a bigger cut of the profit and all this, right? And there was all the financial stuff that was worked out,
right?
Which then kind of got renegotiated recently. But one of the things that Disney put in as a stipulation is they said, look, you have to recast. And I thought that Andrew Garfield played a really great Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I really, really enjoyed him. And I went, okay, I want to see more of that. But the Disney stipulation was recast. And I do remember saying at the time that I was somewhat frustrated because I thought he deserved to get a couple more movies under his belt in that role because I thought he did a good job. But I also understood that Disney had to get a clean break and say, we're moving on.
Yeah.
We need this to be our thing. It needs to be fresh and clean. I understand that. They've done that with other movies. So like for instance the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. The actor was making some serious demands that MCU wasn't going to. They said, okay, we're just going to do a fresh, clean cut. We're going to recast. We're going to move on. But the Spider-Man was like these established movies that were recent, and we need to be our own thing. So now you're talking about bringing back in an actor who was in one of those other movies that we're saying isn't part of the MCU. Those movies are their own thing. And I didn't like the portrayal of that character. And I'm not that it's necessarily like Jamie Foxx's fault that it was bad acting. It could have just been bad writing, bad story, that you're like, okay, they're trying to portray him as a nerd, but like he doesn't come across really as a nerd. He just kind of comes across as like kind of like a bumbling oaf sort of. And now you're going to bring him back into this movie, and I go like, why are you now mixing and matching and kind of doing this? So at first my inclination is, this is horrible, horrible, horrible. This needs to not be done at all. However, as I've sat on this idea a little bit, I started thinking, how can they bring this character in that does not belong, that doesn't belong in this universe, that isn't part of anything? And then it came to me, we're talking about the multiverse here.
Yeah.
Because we get firmly established in Spider-Man Far From Home with freaking what's his face?
J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson and
J.
Mysterio.
Yeah.
That the multiverse is a thing.
Right.
And that was all set up by Avengers Endgame. So now they have the option, if they're going to do this story like I think they are, they're going to reach in and they can pluck out Electro and bring him in as a villain from a multiverse where he was established as a villain. That's the only way I see them recasting or casting this role for this character with an actor who's previously played the role. Similar to how we're bringing back Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck's Batmans in the Flash movie.
Yeah.
And how there's rumors that Christian Bale says that he would like to come back if Christopher Nolan's okay with that. He's got to get Daddy's permission first, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
But that's going to be that's a multiverse. Like, we know that's what that Flash story is going to be. This is the only way I see them bringing back Electro. Do you think I'm wrong in that assessment in any way?
No, I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't. I also don't think you're 100% right. I think that they can just leave it and he's just the bad guy again and have it not tied into
the
multiverse at all. And they're doing this. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the new Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And how you kind of had the same issues with them or keeping the casting of some of the characters and recasting others. And it was a hodgepodge of weirdness. And maybe they'll address it in a wink way, or maybe they'll address it head on. We don't know what is going to happen with that, but we're seeing it. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's a common practice, but I say it's relatively semi kind of common, where these characters are playing the character again in a completely unrelated universe. And I don't have that big of a problem with it. And maybe it's just because I know about storyline and I can separate the different Spider-Mans and I don't get confused. I'm not my dad, but is what I'm trying to say. My dad would see this and be shockingly confused.
Okay.
Like, how can he be here? Like, Dad, this is completely unrelated to that
Right.
series. Like, what do you mean? I mean, he could be watching Star Wars and then going to Star Trek and be like, "Wait, where's the Millennium Falcon?" Like he's that kind. He doesn't understand that they're they're completely
But
separate and
I
completely
think though,
different.
I think that's a big reason why movie studios don't do
Don't
that
do that.
is
I
because
agree.
and I was about to say common. Your dad's not common, but the average movie goer who's maybe not
average.
as steeped in the nerd pop culture lore like we are, they're not going to make that distinction. They're going to be like, Jamie Foxx
I agree
was
with that.
Electro here, and now he's over here. Like, what's the
What's the
why?
connection?
Yeah, what's the connection? Why does it? And
Yeah.
like, you're right. They don't necessarily have to have a connection, but
They will, I
but if
think.
they
You're right.
do, I think it serves the audience better and helps them tie things together.
Yes, I do agree. I think that I think that there's an opportunity for them to do something really cool here.
Yeah.
And my hope is that they didn't cast Jamie Foxx and it like get that information out and then in retrospect go, "Oh crap, maybe we shouldn't have done that because now everybody's expectations are this
Right.
when we're not giving them that." Our script says we're just bringing back Electro and this guy's played him before and so it was an easy cast. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a bit of a concern for me is they've opened a can of worms that they didn't intend to open. Now, would
Because
Kevin do that? Would Kevin Feige, who has a role in this, would he do that to us? I don't know.
here's the other thing too. Every eagle-eyed Spider-Man fan, Marvel fan is going to be looking for one piece of casting news. And that name would be Andrew Garfield. If his name gets leaked in the slightest tiniest way, everyone's going to be all over this story. The jig is up. I think that if they are doing that and we're going into the multiverse and I don't know, maybe Jamie Foxx was under contract to play Electro a couple more times and they still technically have him under contract to do that if they ever decided to do that sort of a film again. I don't know. Maybe something along those lines. I just this is where I start getting into this thing and I want to hear your opinion. Like, we know that the X-Men are going to come over to the MCU. We know that they're going to have to cast all of that. And the X-Men have had, 12 movies in that franchise. And now we're going to be putting that franchise into the MCU. I'm guessing they're going to be starting all over again. They're going to cast, they're going to have some sort of moment where they're going to have to start fresh.
Yeah.
Do you see them casting?
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, right. Do you see them casting actors that is Hugh Jackman going to be Wolverine again?
Hasn't he made mention of the fact that he's done with Wolverine?
He said he was done. However,
he's a man of the people, though.
However, he did say, "Hey, Disney, my phone's still always on," meaning because he understands that, like, if they want to back that Brinks truck up to his door, like Harrison Ford did, let's be honest, like Harrison Ford did for The Force Awakens. Yes. The only reason he did that was they backed up a truck full of money to his doorstep, and that's why he came back. So would he reprise his role? Maybe. He's kind of said that he would be open to that, but if it's anyone other than Disney, like, he's kind of like, nah, I'm done. I've played that enough. So do you like the idea of recasting actors and actresses at this point in established movies that are now being rebooted?
Not necessarily if they're being rebooted. And now in the world of X-Men, my initial thought, my first thought is, does it have to be rebooted? Can we just not seamlessly throw them into this with what existed before?
No, and I'll tell you why. There's 4 timelines. There's 4 timelines already in those films.
Well, why not just continue the one that everybody's familiar with and just go from there?
Which one is that, Matt?
I don't know. Pick one.
that's okay.
Wolverine's in all of them, so pick one. He's the only one, in my opinion, that you got to keep.
You say that you're a simple man. You say
I'm a simple man. I don't
week.
care which timeline they pick.
But here's the thing: they'd have to pick one, and then they would have to say, "Well, this is the timeline, so let's exclude out this other stuff and this stuff." I I think if you watch all those movies, and admittedly, I've just rewatched all those movies,
Yes, you
all of
have.
them. Even I went, okay, wait a minute. This timeline goes to here and then it stops because this one now kind of tangents over and then it comes back down and reboots this one. So now this one doesn't exist anymore. And now we have this movie that's over here that has nothing to do. It's in like a pocket universe. It is too complicated for the average moviegoer. So I think they're going to have to reboot and start fresh and find a way to introduce the X-Men. I think they have to recast everything. Everything. Here's the
I hear what
caveat,
you're
though.
saying.
Here's the
I
caveat.
don't think they have to. That's what I think. I don't think they have to.
I think they have to, except they've already said that Ryan Reynolds will still be Deadpool. Because the Deadpool movies have been really, really popular, and they said that he will still be Deadpool in any Deadpool-related movies going forward, or if he gets brought in. So now we know we're still going to get the Ryan Reynolds, and part of those movies are the weird, like, we've got weird time continuum stuff where he shows the Hugh Jackman toy as Wolverine in the first movie and kind of references some of the stuff from the original trilogy of movies. And then in the second Deadpool movie, we see the young version of that casting. So it's like, I just look at this and go, oh, it's from a perspective of someone who is not steeped in this. I think it could be super confusing. Super confusing.
I think that there will be a subset of people who will analyze it too much and would be confused. I'm not one of those people.
Fair
I would
enough.
sit down with my popcorn and I'd see Wolverine and I'd be like, I know who that is. He's Wolverine. I don't care where he's been in the past because my mind doesn't care about that stuff. What's going to happen in this movie? And I think Deadpool, you don't have a choice. You can't take Ryan Reynolds out. And that's how I feel about Hugh Jackman too, though. I mean, whoever takes Hugh Jackman's place as Wolverine, which eventually it has to happen, I feel bad for you because you will never be Wolverine.
Yeah.
You won't be. It's just not possible. And so rebooting it, I get it. I don't think you're wrong, and I don't know which direction they're going to take. But the theme of the podcast or the question is reprising roles.
Yeah.
Movies that don't necessarily have to do with that role previous. I'm okay with it because it gives you a starting point. But I also get people who don't like that because it messes with continuity of the storyline that came prior. I don't have a problem with it as long as they explicitly say this is new and this character has not experienced this. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine has never experienced the events of Days of Future Past or Logan or whatever other things he's been in. This Wolverine, they have to start a new timeline basically.
They do.
Say this Wolverine has never ever experienced anything you've seen before. He's mad and he doesn't understand his powers. That's basically what you gotta say.
Yeah, okay, so what you're saying is they basically have to start all over again, but you'd still be okay with casting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yep.
And Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yep.
Is there anyone else that, like, in your opinion...
Mystique you could do. I think you could keep Jennifer Lawrence. You don't have to. She's not essential. But because she's Mystique and can kind of shapeshift anyway, I think you can keep her. Now that everybody's familiar with her naked female body anyway, you don't want to have to know another one. So let's just keep it at the one, please.
Well, that's not the way I thought that was going to go. So I can get behind the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool thing. Just because those movies are new and they came out and I could see them because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall and makes fun of stuff and like
totally.
they can use his humor to play off all of that, right? But if you reboot the X-Men, as much as I love Hugh Jackman in that role, we've already seen movies with him done by Fox where he's young and has his powers and doesn't understand. That's the first X-Men movie. Then we also have the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie where we go back and find out how he got the adamantium and how, he did some of this stuff and why he doesn't remember his past. And then we got the Days of Future Past timeline where we find out a different way of like how he doesn't remember who he is and what happened, and how in the movie Apocalypse he gets freed from that. And like, so I kind of look at it and say, as much as I love Hugh Jackman in that role, and I think it would be hard to move on and see someone else, I think that they could introduce the X-Men and not do Wolverine in the first film. And they could stay away from Wolverine because there's lots of characters in the X-Men franchise.
Sure.
And you got to remember, like, they're also going to be bringing back the Fantastic Four. They own the Fantastic Four, and I promise you, Chris Evans is not being recast again as Johnny Storm.
The only person that they want back from any of the Fantastic Four movies is Michael B. Jordan, but he can't come back either because he's already in an MCU film as well. Right. So he's out.
Could you imagine how crazy that would be if they started bringing back those type of people that did some of the Fox stuff?
Bring her back,
and they bring them back. It's like, oh, by the way, now Johnny Storm is played by Chris Evans, reprising the role, and you're totally gonna forget that he's also Captain America.
Yeah,
like that's not gonna work.
Oh,
that's just not gonna work. So like I don't know, the whole recasting thing, I think I can get behind it in limited.
I get it.
If you're doing like time travel pocket university, like multiverse stuff, that makes a lot of sense. Like with the Flash movie and all the Batmans, like to me that makes sense. If you do that with this Spider-Man movie and you bring back Andrew Garfield and Electro and like you tie that in, that could make sense and I could be very forgiving. If you're just bringing back in this actor again to play the same role in a completely unrelated, I just think you run the risk of the average moviegoer still having a memory and tying back to other films. I really think there's that problem, and you got to overcome that. And I don't know how you do it.
They've got an option. I mean, they've painted themselves into a corner, which is basically what we're saying.
Yeah,
you either do the worst version of casting of Jamie Foxx again, which is just making a movie with Jamie Foxx in it.
Right.
Or you have a movie that potentially will make billions of dollars because you are tapping into childhoods and beautifulnesses of Tobey Maguire, perhaps, of Andrew Garfield, of Emma Stone. Probably not. She dies. Spoiler for Amazing Spider-Man 2. But long story short is
J. Jonah Jameson.
An opportunity to make it could be an absolutely massive movie. And when you look at how Far From Home ends, I could see it making sense. An identity revealed, like I can see it, like it could work, and it could be something special that we might be watching. I don't know.
And we also know that Sony really wants to do a Sinister Six film, which is like the Spidey's big six villains.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on here, and there's honestly, Matt, there's just too many questions at this point.
Agreed. Agreed.
How are they going to do this? It's fun to speculate. It starts getting me like rankled up and riled up because it's like, I want to know how they're going to do the X-Men stuff. But I honestly don't think we're going to be getting a movie for at least another 4 to 5 years down that rabbit hole. And
you might be right.
I some of this stuff. So that's what I want to hear. I want to hear the Super Friends speculation on this. Do you like seeing an actor coming back to reprise a role in a completely unrelated film? Or do you not want that to happen? Or do you just fanboy out so hard over Hugh Jackman that you want to see him play Wolverine in every single movie he's in, even if it's not a Wolverine movie? You want to see The Greatest Showman, and you're just waiting for him to whoosh, pull out those adamantium claws and snick his way through his P.T. Barnum? If you want that, let us know. And we'll discuss your answers next week. Because I tell you what, Matt, if that's my option and I can get Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in every film he's in, even if Wolverine's not a part of it, even if that makes no sense, okay, I might pay some money to see that.
Absolutely. You kidding me? Freak. I'm in.
All right, super friends, let us know at all the usual places. We'll take your answers over. And I got to repeat this now because we're going to get it wrong. On email, fortofnerd@gmail.com. Twitter @fortofnerd. Facebook.com/fortofnerd. Instagram fortofnerd. Now on YouTube at the Fortress of Nerditude. Now on our Discord at the Fortress of Nerditude. And the link will always be in the show notes to the Discord. You can jump in. And I think that's all the places. Smoke signals.
That's all of them, man.
Carrier pigeons, whatever you got.
Yeah.
Crows, I don't know. Comm signals from outer space. Whatever you've got. We will read your answers next week. And we will talk about that. Matt, once again, I love Monday nights. I love hanging out with you and getting this chance to do this.
Feels good.
So, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.
Beautiful. Just